Imagine standing at your parents' grave. On one side, a headstone overflowing with love and honor, and on the other, pure silence. That silence? That's revenge, etched in stone forever. This is a story of how two daughters finally got justice against a mother who tormented them their entire lives. If you've ever wished karma would come for the people who hurt you most, hit that like button and subscribe. Because today's story proves that sometimes justice isn't loud. Sometimes it's carved into granite for the whole world to see. I know a family whose story still sends chills down my spine. They grew up with a mother who should have been their safe place, their comfort. Instead, she was their nightmare. She wasn't abusive in the way you might see in movies. No, her cruelty was sharper, quieter, and longer lasting. She used words like weapons, cutting deep into the hearts of her own children. And she had a particular hatred for her daughters. Favoritism wasn't just an occasional slip. It was her strategy. She played her children against one another like pieces on a chessboard, always keeping them off balance, always making sure they knew who was in her good graces and who wasn't. For the two daughters, it meant years of being torn down, mocked, belittled, and constantly compared. Their self-esteem didn't just suffer, it shattered. Every choice they made in life, every relationship they built, carried the scars of those early years. But in the middle of all this darkness was their father. He was the opposite of their mother, warm, funny, gentle. He was the kind of man you'd sit with just to hear his stories. The kind of dad who could make you laugh even when you wanted to cry. Nobody ever understood how he ended up with her. But in that marriage, he was the anchor, the safe harbor in a storm. And then one day, that anchor was gone. When their father passed, the grief was overwhelming. But even in death, he brought them comfort. The children came together to give him the resting place he deserved. They chose a headstone that reflected who he truly was: loving husband, devoted father, kind brother, constant friend. Every word was carefully chosen, every inscription a piece of the love they carried for him. That headstone wasn't just stone. It was proof that he had lived a life worth honoring. But their mother? She lived almost 2 decades longer. And in those years, nothing changed. She carried the same sharp tongue, the same cruelty, the same favoritism. The daughters, now adults, still felt like little girls under her cutting words. When she finally died, it should have been a moment of relief. But instead, another burden landed on their shoulders: the gravestone, because their parents had purchased a double plot, side by side forever. The father already had his beautiful tribute, and now the daughters had to decide what to carve under their mother's name. The expectation was clear. People thought they'd add lines like beloved wife and mother, something respectful, traditional, something that smoothed over the truth. But why should they honor a woman who spent her entire life dishonoring them? This was the moment. A lifetime of pain, bottled up, waiting for release. And it came down to one decision: what words would be carved in stone? The daughters looked at each other, and in that silence, they made their choice. There would be no loving words, no fake tributes, no lies. When the stone was finally engraved, this is what it read: "Here lies the mortal remains of Joe Bloggs, loving husband, devoted father, kind brother, constant friend." And under their mother's name, nothing, just dates, nothing more. Her side of the stone was silent. Revenge, execution, and payoff. It was the ultimate act of poetic justice. For the father, a man who gave everything, his stone told the story of love. For the mother, a woman who gave only pain, her stone told the story of emptiness. Every visitor who walked past that grave would see it. They'd see the glowing words honoring him, and then the cold, empty space under her name. That silence screamed louder than any insult ever could. It said, "We remember, we will not honor cruelty. You don't get the same love you denied us." And in that moment, the daughters finally felt the weight lift. After decades of carrying her cruelty, they had the last word, without ever speaking it. The beauty of it? She couldn't fight back. She couldn't twist their words or punish them for defiance. She was gone, and the truth was carved where the whole world could see it, forever. They didn't need to shout. They didn't need to explain. The gravestone spoke for them. For once in their lives, they had control. And justice? Justice was written in stone. Sometimes revenge isn't about fire or fury. Sometimes it's about refusing to honor someone who never earned it. The daughter's choice was simple but powerful. Love is given where it's deserved, and silence is the greatest punishment of all. If this story gave you chills, smash that like button and subscribe for more. And tell us in the comments, what's the most powerful act of silent revenge you've ever seen? Because sometimes silence isn't empty, it's everything.